In a jaw-dropping twist that feels ripped straight from the golden age of American daytime drama, Beyond the Gates unleashes one of its most emotionally charged storylines, yet as Chelsea's world shatters the moment she receives her long-awaited test results that don't just answer questions, but violently rearrange everything she thought she knew about herself, her past, and her future. Because the paper trembling in her hands doesn't merely confirm a medical or genetic truth, it exposes a secret so volatile that Chelsea instantly understands staying in Fairmont Crest would destroy not only her but everyone she loves. And so, in classic Beyond the Gates fashion, she makes a silent, devastating decision to disappear without warning, without closure, and without telling a single soul where she's going. The episode opens with Chelsea alone in the clinic hallway, fluorescent lights humming like an accusation, her phone buzzing with missed calls from family members who have no idea. She's standing at the edge of an emotional cliff, and when the doctor gently explains the results, spoken in careful, professional tones that contrast cruelly with the chaos erupting inside her, Chelsea's face tells the entire story as shock turns to denial, denial hardens into terror, and terror finally settles into a quiet, resolute panic, the kind that doesn't scream but calcifies. Because these results confirm that the whispers she's overheard for months, the odd looks, the half-truths, the buried files were all leading here, to a truth that ties her to a scandal buried deep in Fairmont Crest's past, a truth involving bloodlines, betrayals, and a decision made years ago by people who thought secrets could stay dead forever. What makes the moment even more haunting is that Chelsea doesn't cry right away. She thanks the doctor, folds the paper with mechanical precision, and walks out into the sunlight like nothing has changed. But everything has, because she now knows she is the living consequence of a lie that implicates more than one powerful family, and if the truth comes out, it won't just rewrite her identity, it will blow apart alliances, marriages, and reputations that have been carefully curated for decades. Back at the Dupree estate, tension simmers as characters sense something is wrong. Someone mentions Chelsea missed an important call, someone else shrugs it off, unaware they are already too late, while Chelsea, meanwhile, drives aimlessly through town. Flashbacks flooding her mind, moments that once felt insignificant now screaming with meaning, every argument, every unexplained absence, every awkward silence suddenly aligning into a brutal pattern, and it's during this drive that Chelsea makes the fateful choice to leave Fairmont Crest altogether, not out of cowardice, but out of a desperate attempt to control the damage. Because she believes that if she removes herself from the equation, the bomb won't detonate. The episode masterfully cuts between Chelsea packing a single suitcase, hands shaking as she chooses what to take, what to leave behind, as if she can edit her life down to what hurts least, and her loved ones going about their day completely unaware that she's slipping through their fingers, with one especially cruel moment showing a family member setting aside something meant for Chelsea later that evening. A visual reminder of how sudden and irreversible this disappearance will be. Chelsea doesn't leave a note, doesn't send a text, doesn't even allow herself a final goodbye, because she knows the second she hears someone beg her to stay, she'll break, and she can't afford to break. Not now, not with the weight of the test results burning in her bag like contraband. So she does the unthinkable and heads for the bus station under an assumed name. A choice that instantly raises the stakes and signals to viewers that this is not a temporary getaway, but a full-scale vanishing act. The symbolism is heavy but effective as Chelsea watches Fairmont Crest disappear through the bus window, her reflection ghosted over familiar landmarks, tears finally falling as the realization hits that no matter how far she runs, the truth will eventually chase her, because secrets in Beyond the Gates have a way of clawing their way into the light. Meanwhile, the fallout begins almost immediately as the people closest to Chelsea notice her absence snowballing into alarm, with phones going straight to voicemail and unanswered questions turning into fear, and when someone finally discovers the clinic paperwork Chelsea accidentally left behind, just a corner of the envelope, just enough to spark suspicion, the storyline ignites into full soap opera mode, because now the hunt for Chelsea becomes inseparable from the hunt for the truth she's carrying. Spoilers tease that Chelsea's test results are connected to an earlier scandal fans thought was long resolved, implicating a powerful figure who will stop at Nothing to keep this secret buried, which means Chelsea's departure may not protect her at all but instead place her directly in danger, especially once certain characters realize that silencing her may be easier if she's alone and far from Fairmont Crest's watchful eyes. What elevates this plot beyond a simple disappearance is the emotional layering, because Chelsea isn't just running from a result on a page. She's running from the fear that her entire existence was orchestrated, that her life has been a pawn in someone else's strategy, and that revelation fractures her sense of self so deeply that leaving feels like the only way to breathe. Viewers are also left reeling by the timing, as Chelsea leaves just before another major family confrontation is set to explode, meaning her absence will be felt like an open wound, her empty chair at the table screaming louder than any argument, and spoilers hint that when the truth finally comes out, those she tried to protect will feel betrayed not only by the original lie, but by Chelsea's decision to disappear without trusting them with the truth. In classic Beyond the Gates fashion, this storyline promises ripple effects that will stretch across multiple arcs, with alliances shifting, old enemies finding common cause, and at least one character vowing to track Chelsea down no matter the cost, convinced that whatever those test results revealed is the missing piece to a mystery that has haunted Fairmont Crest for years. The brilliance of the plot lies in its restraint, letting silence and absence do the heavy lifting, because Chelsea's quiet exit is more devastating than any explosive confrontation, and as the episode closes on a lingering shot of her gripping the test results as the bus speeds into the unknown, the message is clear. This secret has teeth. Chelsea's disappearance is only the beginning, and when she eventually returns, and Beyond the Gates always brings its runaways home, the truth she tried to outrun will collide with Fairmont Crest in a way that changes everything, leaving viewers breathless, heartbroken, and desperate for what comes next. And as the story pushes forward, Beyond the Gates deepens the emotional and narrative stakes by peeling back what those devastating test results truly mean, revealing that Chelsea's decision to flee Fairmont Crest is not an impulsive act but the culmination of months of quiet dread, because long before the paper confirmed it, she felt it in her bones that something about her life did not add up, that the love she received was real, but the foundation beneath it was cracked, and the results don't just suggest a complicated medical reality or a surprising genetic mismatch. They expose a deliberate deception tied to an affair, a cover-up, and a bargain struck in desperation years ago, when reputations mattered more than truth, and a child's future was decided in secret rooms behind closed doors. Spoilers tease that Chelsea may not be who she was raised to believe she is, and worse, that her existence may have been used to secure someone else's silence, protect a powerful marriage, or erase a crime that once threatened to bring Fairmont Crest's elite to its knees. And that realization crushes her because it reframes every loving moment of her childhood as something built on a lie, even though the love itself was genuine. On the road, Chelsea struggles with isolation as the adrenaline of escape fades and the reality of what she's done sets in, scenes showing her in anonymous motels, bus terminals, and diners where no one knows her name, her face, or her history. And for the first time in her life, she is utterly unmoored, free but terrified, constantly checking her phone yet unable to bring herself to turn it on, haunted by imagined conversations with the people she left behind, replaying what she would say if she were brave enough to tell them the truth, while in Fairmont Crest panic turns into urgency as her disappearance becomes impossible to ignore, especially when a loved one finally tracks down the clinic and confirms Chelsea did receive her results, igniting speculation, fear, and guilt as each character wonders what kind of news could drive her to vanish without a word. Suspicion spreads quickly, because in Beyond the Gates no secret exists in isolation, and Chelsea's disappearance intersects with other simmering storylines, causing certain characters to fear that whatever she learned might expose their own buried sins, prompting hushed conversations, sudden generosity, and subtle threats as people maneuver to either find Chelsea first or ensure she stays lost. Spoilers hint that one influential figure may already know the truth behind the test results and had hoped Chelsea would never confirm it, making her sudden flight both a relief and a risk, because a secret bearer who runs is unpredictable, and if Chelsea decides to talk to the wrong person, the carefully constructed narrative protecting the powerful could collapse overnight. Emotionally, the show lingers on the pain of those left behind, especially a character who blames themselves for pushing Chelsea too hard to get tested in the first place, their grief curdling into obsession as they vow to bring her home, convinced that whatever the truth is, it can't be worse than losing her forever, while another character reacts with defensiveness and anger, insisting Chelsea's disappearance proves she's hiding something shameful, unknowingly echoing the very judgment that drove Chelsea away. As the days pass, clues emerge: an out-of-state transaction, a security camera sighting, a cryptic voicemail Chelsea records but never sends, and each breadcrumb tightens the noose, drawing Fairmont Crest closer to uncovering not just where Chelsea went, but why she felt she had to go at all. The tension escalates when Chelsea herself realizes that running hasn't freed her from danger, because strangers start asking questions that feel too specific. And a chance encounter suggests someone may be tracking her, forcing viewers to wonder whether her departure truly was her own choice or whether unseen forces are now nudging her further into the shadows. What makes this arc resonate so powerfully is that Chelsea's struggle mirrors a larger theme pulsing through Beyond the Gates: the cost of secrets, passed down through generations, and the collateral damage inflicted on those who never consented to carry them. And as Chelsea grapples with the idea that her life may have been shaped by a deal she never agreed to, she faces a wrenching question. Does she owe loyalty to the people who raised her, or to the truth that threatens to destroy them? A question that becomes even more urgent when she considers coming forward publicly, a move that could finally give her control over her narrative, but also detonate the fragile peace of Fairmont Crest. Spoilers promise that Chelsea's absence will ultimately force long-avoided conversations, crack long-standing alliances, and expose at least one character whose carefully polished image hides a ruthless willingness to sacrifice anyone, even family, to keep the past buried, setting the stage for a dramatic return that will be anything but quiet. Because when Chelsea does come back, and all signs point to an inevitable, explosive homecoming, she won't be the same woman who left. She'll be armed with truth, hardened by betrayal, and ready to confront the people who decided her fate without her consent, making this storyline not just a shocking disappearance, but a slow-burning reckoning that cements Beyond the Gates as a masterclass in modern American soap storytelling, where every secret has a price, every lie leaves a scar, and no one escapes the truth forever. And just when viewers think Beyond the Gates has stretched Chelsea's disappearance to its emotional limit, the storyline pivots again, widening the lens to show how one woman's silent exit destabilizes the entire ecosystem of Fairmont Crest. Because Chelsea's absence doesn't sit quietly. It echoes, it festers, it provokes reactions that expose who people really are when the comforting illusion of control slips away. And as days turn into a tense, unanswered stretch of time, relationships begin to crack under the pressure of not knowing, with guilt, fear, and self-preservation all warring for dominance. One of the most haunting threads teased in spoilers is how Chelsea's empty space becomes a mirror for others, forcing them to confront their own secrets, because suddenly every hidden truth feels heavier, every lie more fragile, as if Chelsea's test results unlocked a chain reaction no one anticipated, and characters who once felt untouchable now sense the ground shifting beneath them, realizing that if her truth can surface, so can theirs. Meanwhile, Chelsea's journey away from Fairmont Crest evolves from raw panic into something more complex and quietly devastating, as she begins to wrestle not only with what the results revealed but with who she is without the roles, expectations, and history she left behind. Scenes showing her watching families interact in public places, overhearing fragments of strangers' lives, and wondering whether identity is something inherited or something chosen. And this internal struggle adds a rare, introspective layer to the soap's trademark melodrama, grounding the high stakes in a deeply human question of belonging. Spoilers suggest Chelsea eventually reaches out to someone from her past under an alias, testing whether she can still be seen for who she is rather than what her DNA or origins might imply. But even this tentative step toward connection carries risk, because any signal she sends into the world could be traced, and the show leans hard into suspense as viewers are left questioning who can truly be trusted when power, legacy, and reputation are on the line. Back in Fairmont Crest, investigations into Chelsea's disappearance take on a sharper edge when fragments of old records resurface, and a long-buried incident, once dismissed as rumor or conveniently forgotten, re-enters the narrative with chilling relevance, making it clear that Chelsea's test results didn't create a scandal. They confirmed one, and that confirmation threatens to expose how far certain characters were willing to go to rewrite history, including falsified documents, coerced silence, and a carefully constructed narrative that allowed them to rise unchallenged. The emotional fallout intensifies when a confrontation erupts between two central figures who realize, too late, that their shared secret may have driven Chelsea away for good, their argument raw and vicious, laced with regret and self-justification, underscoring one of the show's most enduring themes, that protecting a lie often costs more than telling the truth ever could. Spoilers hint that Chelsea's story will soon intersect with another major arc involving inheritance and succession, raising the possibility that her test results don't just threaten emotional bonds but financial empires as well. And this revelation reframes her disappearance as not just a personal crisis, but a strategic one, making her both a victim and a wild card in a game she never agreed to play. As tension builds, the show toys with the idea that Chelsea might choose to expose the truth on her own terms, possibly through an anonymous leak or a public confession, a move that would flip the power dynamic and force Fairmont Crest's elite to react rather than control the narrative. And the mere possibility of this sends shockwaves through the community, prompting sudden alliances, desperate pleas, and morally gray decisions that blur the line between love and manipulation. What makes this arc particularly compelling is the way Beyond Gates refuses to paint Chelsea as simply fragile or heroic. She is conflicted, angry, scared, and increasingly aware that running away doesn't absolve her of choice. It merely delays it, and this slow evolution sets the stage for a return that promises not reconciliation but reckoning, because Chelsea isn't coming back to be comforted, she's coming back to be heard. The final beats teased in upcoming episodes suggest that Chelsea's secret departure will ultimately force Fairmont Crest to confront a truth it has long avoided, that bloodlines do not define loyalty, that legacy built on lies is inherently unstable, and that the real danger isn't what Chelsea learned from those test results, but what everyone else did to keep that truth hidden, making this storyline a slow-burning, emotionally ruthless exploration of identity, accountability, and the devastating power of silence. And as fans brace for Chelsea's inevitable reappearance, one thing becomes unmistakably clear. Beyond the Gates isn't just telling the story of a woman who ran away, it's telling the story of a town that may not survive what she brings back with her. As the drama of Chelsea's disappearance escalates, Beyond the Gates digs even deeper into the web of consequences her sudden departure sets into motion, demonstrating with ruthless precision that one secret, once uncovered, can destabilize an entire town, because Chelsea's test results are not merely a personal revelation, they are the catalyst that exposes decades of buried lies, manipulations, and betrayals, and the ripple effects touch every corner of Fairmont Crest, from its most powerful families to its quietest residents, forcing each character to confront the uncomfortable truth that their carefully curated lives may collapse under scrutiny. The show expertly amplifies tension by cutting between Chelsea, isolated and cautious in a city far from home, and the characters left behind, whose panic shifts from disbelief to desperation as they scramble for answers, with each passing hour magnifying the stakes, because the longer Chelsea remains missing, the more impossible it becomes to contain the fallout, and every conversation, every glance, every unexplained silence becomes a potential clue, heightening the suspense and keeping viewers on edge. Chelsea herself is portrayed with a remarkable blend of vulnerability and determination, a young woman grappling not just with the shock of what the results reveal but with the existential question of identity, realizing that her life, as she believed it to be, may have been a carefully constructed illusion. And as she navigates new cities, temporary shelters, and moments of solitude, she must reconcile the person she thought she was with the person the truth demands she become, a journey that is emotionally resonant and psychologically intense, allowing viewers to connect deeply with her internal struggle while anticipating the inevitable reckoning that awaits her in Fairmont Crest. Meanwhile, in her absence, the power dynamics within Fairmont Crest shift dramatically, as those who once felt secure in their secrets now feel exposed, leading to whispered accusations, secret alliances, and confrontations that escalate with every episode, because the town's stability rests on a delicate balance that Chelsea's knowledge threatens to unravel completely, and characters who once underestimated her now fear her influence, even while she is miles away. The writers of Beyond the Gates use this narrative to explore themes of trust, betrayal, and the moral compromises people make to protect themselves, showing how Chelsea's disappearance forces each character to examine not just her choices, but their own, and the show cleverly teases the possibility that some may have actively contributed to her decision to leave, whether through lies, manipulation, or neglect, adding layers of complexity to the storyline and keeping audiences guessing about who is truly culpable. Spoiler alerts suggest that Chelsea's path will eventually intersect with other major plotlines, including family, secrets, financial intrigues, and past crimes that had been buried or forgotten, meaning her absence is not a mere side story but a central axis around which multiple narrative threads pivot, and her eventual return promises to ignite confrontations that are as explosive as they are emotionally charged. The storytelling is enhanced by the show's signature use of dramatic visuals and music, emphasizing the isolation and danger Chelsea faces while juxtaposing it with the chaos erupting back in Fairmont Crest, creating a tension-filled rhythm that mirrors her internal conflict, and the cinematography often frames her in shadows, behind glass, or in reflective surfaces, reinforcing themes of identity, perception, and the distance between who she is and who she was told to be. As the narrative unfolds, it becomes clear that Chelsea's departure is a study in cause and effect, illustrating how one revelation can trigger a chain reaction of fear, suspicion, and action, and the show smartly balances the suspense with emotional depth, giving viewers insight into her fear, determination, and growing self-awareness, while simultaneously showing the mounting panic, guilt, and scheming of those left behind. As the arc progresses, audience speculation intensifies, with theories about where Chelsea might be hiding, who she might confide in, and whether she will return voluntarily or be forced back into the tangled web of Fairmont Crest secrets, and these questions are compounded by the knowledge that the test results touch on powerful families, past crimes, and forbidden relationships, meaning that when she does return, the revelations could topple the social and emotional hierarchy of the entire town, creating a narrative payoff that the show has meticulously built toward, one that promises to be as shocking as it is satisfying. In the meantime, Chelsea's story continues to explore themes of autonomy, secrecy, and the weight of legacy, showing how one person's courage to confront the truth, even from a distance, can unsettle an entire community and force hidden realities into the light, cementing her arc as one of the most compelling and emotionally resonant in the history of Beyond the Gates, and leaving viewers breathless in anticipation of the dramatic events that are still to come.